My name is Asif and I'm about to spill my tea now.
I was diagnosed with HIV in 2013. I thought my life was over. It wasn't. What had I seen or heard that made me believe that back then? I've always been a photographer and loved making videos about other people. Today, I'm picking up the camera to look at myself. I want to find out how my family and media portrayal shape the way I see HIV. And share my story to show that life doesn't end with that diagnosis.
So I have a funny story to tell about this. When I was coming to Canada, my mom did send me with a luggage that had utensils, pots and pans, and I still laugh at it. It's like she did prepare me to come to Canada, but I wasn't really prepared. Not prepared for the sex education, not prepared for the culture.
I grew up in Karachi, Pakistan. I'm gay, and then building a future upon that was very difficult because I don't think my parents would have ever accepted me, and then we have society to think about. So I have to step out of Pakistan and go somewhere to make that future true. I went to a gay bar for the first time. I was like, oh my God, there are gay people, more than like 2 or 3 gay people in that same building. Even though the bar was really small, I was very excited. It felt like I'm a kid in a Disneyland, and then the fun part, began. I had too much fun.
I took an HIV test which was required by my permanent residence application. I was in shock when it came back positive. It felt like someone pulled the rug right from underneath me.
Just how a single piece of paper can make you think that you're gonna die now. And so what does it say, like CD4 count and the viral load? Yeah, I've been collecting my certificates and my school grades. All I know is like what is A plus, and what is 80 out of 100 or the marks. I don't know what CD4 count is. I don't know what this viral load number means. So if you are handing out this to someone and then saying, oh yes, you are HIV positive, well, what am I supposed to understand from it? Like, of course I took it as a death sentence. I did not have a job. I was very close to becoming homeless. I had to sell my photography gear to pay the rent at some point, and there was little to no food in my fridge.
I'm talking about a splendid new film called Philadelphia.
Outstanding.
Starring Tom Hanks, it's the story of a young lawyer engaged in what Americans like to call the pursuit of happiness. Suddenly, amidst all this privilege, the notion that you deserve what you get takes an ugly twist.
I decided to look for someone who could answer some of my questions. I reached out to Ryan Conrad from Carleton University. Ryan teaches film studies courses on the representation of HIV and AIDS in media. The last movie that I watched pertaining to HIV was Philadelphia. And that again was by Tom Hanks, I believe. So not a true representation of what HIV is in today's world.
Andrew Beckett is dying.
Philadelphia, in particular, is a movie that has continued to stay with us despite being from the early 90s. But this film is antiretroviral medications, and so the narrative at this time is, particular groups of people, especially gay men, get HIV and then die of AIDS. That is no longer the narrative for many people living with HIV today. You're trying to visualize a thing that doesn't exist. So these are the ways in which HIV gets mobilized today, in these sort of tropes that call back to that sort of history of like pre-HIV medications, where it's this dramatic, like, you're gonna die at the end, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's much more difficult to tell the story of HIV positive people today living with the virus and being undetectable.
There's very little representation of
people from South Asia, countries like Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, and we have HIV cases in those countries as well, and I want to see a happy ending.
They produced 13 tapes, and Bolo Bolo in particular is one of the more interesting tapes because it's the reason the series gets censored and kicked off air.
Well, that's quite unfortunate because Bolo Bolo means tell me,
Yeah.
and then they were silent.
My conversation with Ryan Conrad gave me some things to think about and made me realize how important it is to share my story in my community. So I wanted to know more about storytelling specifically in South Asian communities and how that shapes the way we talk about HIV. I spoke with Shreya Hari, who works at KD, a national Canadian organization that provides HIV related resources and information. Why, even at the test clinics, you would hardly see South Asians?
I think a lot of HIV stigma, unfortunately, is also rooted in sexual stigma. But I think if we look at historical lineages, there's a lot of potential there for people to reclaim a kind of culturally rooted, empowered way of discussing whether it's sex, whether it's queer identities, and whether it's HIV.
After speaking with Ryan and Shreya, I realized it's time for me to speak up. Hollywood cannot speak for me.
Time for my pill. See, it's not that bad. It's just one pill.
When I was isolated and keeping, my status to myself, it wasn't helping me in any way.
I think my role in all of this is sharing my story and hoping especially South Asian people who are living with HIV realize there is a good life waiting for them on the other side of the diagnosis.
I want to reach out to South Asian folks, especially people coming from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and just to help them. If someone is in a similar life journey or even worse, don't keep it to yourself. Just accept it. You can't change the past, but you have a beautiful life ahead.